you go. I don't know, TV audience, take a look. It's Muhammad Ali, right? The champion. So the Miami Dolphins are the Super Bowl champs, right? That's it. So we just lock it up.
I don't know, they're the funnest show right now. It's like they're the greatest show on turf, round 2. An ode to the St. Louis Rams with Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt. Thank you.
I got
combining
Marshall
two
Faulk,
receivers.
Yeah.
Marshall Faulk, it was an unbelievable team.
My boy London Fletcher was playing defense on that team.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Anyway, it is Moose and Keith. He is Mark Malusis. I am Keith Irizarry. It's Better Sports Network. And I jest by opening that way. But in all seriousness, to score 70 points in an NFL game is just astronomically crazy and doesn't even feel real, right? When I look, so I was at my sister's house yesterday. We had one TV on, but it really was more about like hanging out with the family. My niece was in from college, and like it really wasn't about staying Moose and just staring at a television screen. So I was like very in and out of the living room, really like I was trying to be present, right? And when at one point Austin comes over to me, he's like, "Dad, they've got 60." I'm like, "You're what?" Yeah. I'm like, that's insane. It didn't feel real.
No, it's crazy. They hadn't. I've never seen it. I mean, they should have gone for the record at the end. Go out there and this is the National Football League. Everyone gets paid. I mean, Sean Payton wants to go out there and take shots at the former head coach Nathaniel Hackett, who's now the offensive coordinator of the New York Jets, and get paid the amount of money that he's getting paid and all the success. And everyone wants to kiss the rear end to Sean Payton. Well, earn it. I mean, he got rid of a really good defensive coordinator last year for the Broncos and decided to bring in Vance Joseph. The defense was completely and utterly lost. This is not just a Russell Wilson problem in Denver, but give McDaniel and Miami a ton of credit. I mean, you look at it, and I don't think he handled the concussion last year and some of the responses with Tua all that well when I'm talking about the Miami Dolphins head coach. But I'll tell you this, you've got speed, and they didn't even have Jalen Waddle yesterday, and they put up 70 as he was out with a concussion. And you're having, the former Robbie Anderson catching touchdowns from Mike White in the second half. Raheem Mostert having himself a game. They had over 700 yards of offense. They had over 700 yards of offense. I mean, think about that. Someone brought up the comparison. The New York Jets haven't had over 700 yards of total offense in their 3 games combined. Mm-hmm. And they did it in 1 game. I mean, think about that. And they did it in 1 game. I mean, it's just astonishing. I mean, and I don't really, for the Denver Broncos, you got to eat it. I mean, you really do. I mean, everyone wants to look at Payton stepped in there, and I have no issue, none whatsoever. This is not high school football. This is not college football. You're in the National Football League. Everyone's getting paid. A lot of guys are making a lot of money. I have no issue with the Miami Dolphins continuing to throw the football and run their offense because you know what? They're paid to stop them. And if you've got an issue with it, you know what? You've got 11 defenders on the field. Go out there and make a stop. Show a little bit of pride. I mean, the only time Miami didn't score yesterday was when they turned the football over on downs or at the end of the game when they decided to take a couple of knees and not kick the field goal. I mean, that was it. I mean, they marched up and down the field whenever they wanted to score, and they scored in a myriad of different ways. How about the continued? I mean, can you make an adjustment if you're the Denver Broncos? The pitch in the middle of the field, how many times did they run that? Yeah. And it was like the parting of the seas. And there was not a Bronco defender. Guys were walking in. I mean, comparatively speaking, I mean, the Dallas Cowboys got inside the 10-yard line of the Arizona Cardinals, and they looked like if you gave them 12 downs, they couldn't score. And then you compare it to the Miami Dolphins. They got inside the 15-yard line, and basically, like, there was no pushback by the Denver Broncos whatsoever. And for Sean Payton, I mean, that is an impossible flight home. I mean, talking about an utterly embarrassing performance by the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I think there are 2 things here. One, I think Denver's bad. I just think they're not good at football.
Keith, there were people that like Denver. Yeah, that line went down over the course of the week. There were actual handicappers and smart money, if there's such a thing, going out there and betting on the Denver Broncos to cover that spread. They thought they were a live dog.
Yeah, I didn't. I was never with this. Listen, all right. So let's peel it back. So prior to the season, you gave out a bunch of Dolphins plays as kind of longer shots, but you were in the Dolphins corner. I told you I like the Dolphins. After whatever was week 1, I got in. I have a ticket now on the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl at 18-1. Okay. And the site I did it on, I also got a boost too. So I think it went to like 22-1, whatever it was. So I have a ticket on the Dolphins to win. This offense, again, I know it's a battle of attrition and it's a marathon and not a sprint, and we can use all the cliches that we want. But at this moment, the Miami Dolphins, not just because of yesterday, but what we've seen through 3 weeks, they are the most unstoppable offense we've seen in a while. Like,
Yeah.
Now, they can be scored on. And listen, Denver still scored 20 points yesterday. Like, they can be beaten. The Dolphins will inevitably lose a game this year and many games this year, like multiple games. But their offense is unstoppable right now. Tua looks so comfortable in his own skin and so comfortable in this offense. Mike McDaniel's done a great job of building everything around him. And you mentioned the speed. Someone this morning on one of the ESPN shows, might have been Damian Woody, made the joke about them having a track team, because they do. And you and I talked about this last week. They've got 4 guys that ran a 4.40 or less at the combine.
Yeah.
That's insanity. And now we get to see what A-Chain is. This kid went for over 200 yards.
Oh no, there's no doubt. And just the creativity of the passing game. It shows you coaching. I mean, right. It shows you. I mean, Tua's got a lot of talent. The problem is, he's gotten hurt, and people want to, amazingly enough, just continue, after the Charger victory, talking about whether or not he can throw the ball deep. Who the hell cares? Nick Saban talked about him being the most accurate quarterback that coming out of high school that he's ever seen. And that's where it plays here. Everything's accurate and everything is on time. And that's the key in the National Football League. Trusting your receivers, understanding what you're viewing, throwing it to the spot where the receiver is going to be there, and putting the ball on time. And when you do that, as you're seeing down in Miami, and you have a plethora, as Keith mentioned, plethora of speed, you're going to see an offense basically march up and down the field. And that's what you're seeing. And McDaniel, Flores was a guy that, was criticizing and ripping Tua left and right. You look at what Mike McDaniel steps in there. Now, the big caveat to it makes Mike McDaniel is Tua is going to be, last year until he got hurt, was an MVP candidate. He's going to be an MVP candidate again this year. That's it. Now, the big caveat is, can he stay healthy? Couldn't stay healthy at Alabama, has not been able to stay healthy at Miami so far during his NFL career. Can he hold up physically to the physical nature of the National Football League, taking the hits and be able to hold up over the course of the season? That's the big thing, because if he stays upright and he's your starting quarterback, Miami could do really great things this year.
We're going to play a clip here, but my father actually is watching. He just sent me a text. Miami can win either way, even if Zach Wilson was quarterback.
No, but I'll tell you this. I don't necessarily think they can do it with Wilson.
Yeah. Sorry, Dad. I don't know about that.
But attack a little bit, but I'll tell you, even if Tua should go down to a game, Mike White's a much more viable quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater, than Skylar Thompson, and has an understanding of where, so the Dolphins did right, giving McDaniel the 2-year contract. I think he's making $8 million a year to be the backup quarterback down there in Miami, because now they have a guy where not a lot has to change because they have similar arm talent when you're looking at Tua and Mike White. So that was a smart signing, even though he's a righty and Tua's a lefty. Smart signing by McDaniel and company down there in South Beach.
Yeah, Bernsey, let's roll the Tua clip here and hear what he had to say after the game.
You're probably on the side of a lot of lopsided victories, but does this compare to anything that you've seen or been a part of?
No, this isn't compared to anything that I've seen or been a part of. It just talks about the resilience of our team. Although we were up going into halftime, I'm very proud of the guys and the way they continued to play. No one took their foot off the gas. Everyone continued to play, and that's the result that we got.
The classy thing to do is to kneel down and not kick the field goal, but was there any enticement to trying to set the NFL record, which you guys would have had if you would have kicked the field goal?
No, it's about respect in the NFL, and that's what we got. We got respect, and we're not trying to go out there and humiliate teams. That's just what it happened to look like. Trying to run the ball, trying to kill some time. Big plays opened up, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see it noticeably. Tua looks a lot thicker this year, not in a bad way, in a good way, in terms of the body structure. I'm not talking about somebody that overeats at Thanksgiving or Christmas, and they look a little pudgy. Like you could tell that Tua, if you compare it to it now to 2 years ago, physically he looks a lot thicker, and that's a good thing. I mean, listen, I'm happy for him. I hope the success continues because really good human beings. So those are the guys that you want to root for and root for their success. And Tua Tagovailoa is one of those guys. And Miami set a tone yesterday. How about the opposite side? Let's hear from Sean Payton first. The Broncos head coach getting paid a ton of money, and his team, I mean, didn't just get taken by the woodshed yesterday. I mean, they got completely humiliated. Here's the head coach.
That was embarrassing and tough to watch. Aside from the kick return, there weren't a lot of positives to take from that game. We had our opportunities offensively early, 2 penalties, take touchdowns off the board, and I think they punted one time. So it'd be one thing to say, hey, we're going to get on to the next game, but we have to watch that tape. And so tomorrow will be tough for a lot of players. Tough for us, too, as coaches. We knew we were playing a real good offense, but we got to look closely at what we were doing. When someone runs the ball up and down the field like those guys did and throw it up and down the field, it's not acceptable. This one obviously is difficult to be sitting here 0-3 talking to you guys. You always start inwardly and look at where can I be better? And then you start with the staff, and then we go through the tape, and then you get on to the meetings with the players. So those next 2 days, we'll have a lot to look at and discuss. It's disappointing. I'm at a loss for words because I've been on the other side of some games like that, and then every once in a while in this league, you get your butt whipped, but this was more than that.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean,
I thought he handled that pretty well.
I thought he handled
better
it well.
than I thought he would.
I thought he was.
I know because he had one interaction with one reporter, tried to ask a question.
He's like, I just answered that.
I just answered it. What was the question? What's your question then? I answered that.
Yes, exactly right. How about Garrett Bowles, who's been with the Broncos, I think for like 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Here he is after the game.
What are the emotions like going through your head personally?
It's tired of losing, man. I've been here for 7 years and all I've done is lost, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, short, sweet, to the point. Yes.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's you to be on that side of a loss. And I know that like Garrett Bowles was talking about like all the losing, but like to have a night where you lose by 50.
Yeah, it's tough.
In the NFL, like that's not supposed to happen.
No.
You get blown out. A blowout is 42-10, right? That's what it's supposed to be. A blowout is 35-3. But 70-20 feels like a different blowout. It feels like you just got, all right. Like if this were soccer, if this were a different football, you're wondering if you're getting relegated.
Yeah, it was that type of game. So you look at the Broncos, who had an embarrassing performance, and we'll get into the Jets, and we'll get into Justin Fields and the Bears, and certainly Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift yesterday, which was the headline and had the National Football League in this country a buzz. But how about the Dallas Cowboys? I asked you for a margin pick last week, and you gave me the Dallas Cowboys. And,
did you play it?
Well, yeah, in the margin pool, of course. I follow.
You
yes.
Yeah.
And that was the Cowboys go into Arizona. A Dallas team that embarrassed the Giants, took care of business against the Jets. And I know no Diggs, and he's done for the year, torn ACL. You cannot have the performance that they did in Arizona after losing a corner. You just can't. I mean, you can't be – I mean, some of the Dallas Cowboys took a massive step back as a 13.5-point favorite. I believe the high water mark was. It was right around that, right when that game kicked off shortly after 4 o'clock yesterday. And to be trailing the majority of the game, to lose outright to Josh Dobbs and the Cardinals, to get that game within a margin in which to down to 5 in the fourth quarter, and then you give up the 67-yard pass, which sets up the Cardinals to first and goal, and then to drive the ball down the field, and the clock is your enemy, and you have all 3 timeouts, and you're running the football. You are running the football and huddling up, and then Dak Prescott throws the interception in the end zone to seal the deal. I mean, it's just like, it's utterly amazing. The Cowboys and Micah Parsons talking about the fact that we played down to your opponent. Well, you know what? That's on you. That is on you. That's on the Cowboys. That's on the coaching staff. That's on each and every one of those players. That is an unbelievably terrible performance by the Cowboys.
I think what yesterday showed me was that the Dallas Cowboys can easily fall back into their old ways, right? Like, you think about real life, right? People go through life and they will, let's say they were a partier and they get out of the party life because they meet a nice person or whatever it may be, and they slowly but surely fall back into the party life. The Dallas Cowboys yesterday fell back into like what they were last year and the year before and the year before. And we can go back to the 90s when they won us. I mean, like, listen, it was embarrassing. As embarrassing as the loss was for the Broncos, almost as embarrassing as this loss was for the Cowboys, because they were supposed to steamroll the Cardinals.
And listen, I get Diggs, and I understand they're missing their left tackle, and they're missing their center, and they're missing their guard. It's Arizona.
I'm playing for the Cardinals. I played for them yesterday. I don't know if you knew that. I was running the ball.
Honestly, like, you still got to find a way to win the game. It's not even just the offense. The defense was terrible.
Shredded. James Conner looked like a Pro Bowler.
I mean, they got utterly and completely embarrassed, and I like that, I like that comparison. You're right. I mean, it's like the Cowboys fell back into their old ways. No doubt. Yeah. No question about it. We'll get into the Jets, and they've got a quarterback problem. There's no doubt about it.
Right,
they've got a quarterback problem. And we'll hear from Robert Saleh straight ahead. And we'll also talk certainly about Justin Fields and the Kansas City Chiefs, as the Bears, I should say, lost to the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. And the big headline was Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce walking out of the building together. We'll get into all that more. He's Keith Arizari. I'm Mark Malusis. It's Moose and Keith with you right here on the Better Sports Network.
Like Devon Levi started off in the friend zone, and now like he could possibly be wife material. So it is exceptionally hard to trust a rookie goalie in the NHL. The kid is what? He's 21. Like, okay, and he is going to the Buffalo Sabres. But we've all agreed that the Buffalo Sabres are at least a somewhat better hockey team on paper. Again, it's hard to trust a rookie goalie. We've seen future Hall of Fame goalies like, Fleury in his first year struggle, right? Carey Price in his first year struggle. It is tough for goalies to come in and have success. That being said, nobody outside of maybe a Buffalo sports fan can tell me who the two goalies on their roster are, because I didn't know until this morning, until I was reminded that it was Eric Comrie and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And I was like, okay, well, he has the crease to himself. So all he can do is lose it. That's all he can do. Buffalo is going to be a fun team to watch, which means maybe Devon Levi ends up in what I call the Martin Jones syndrome, which is a goals against average is pretty up there. Save percentage is not very good, but he's going to finish with 35 wins because he's just going to play a lot. And it's going to be that back and forth hockey. The Atlantic Division is not very good, right? There are some teams that are going to regress. So there's opportunities here for Buffalo to do well. And I think his over-under on wins is set at 24.5. So again, there's a lot of things that I may not trust about him, but as a 13th goalie off the board, and I think that is a reach at 13. I think a lot of people have him farther back than that. So he may be 13 on NHL.com's list, but you may end up and show up in your Yahoo or your ESPN draft, and they haven't ranked probably outside of the top 20. So I would have no issue as a second goalie going with Levi, because like, who's taking his spot? Nobody. And volume at one point, if you're in a league that doesn't penalize you for losses, if you're in a league that rewards saves and save bonuses like, for daily, DraftKings does, he has all that working for him. So if it doesn't work out, all right, fine. Then you can go and pick up whoever is there. But it is his net to lose. I understand the risk. I will definitely take, because that's how you win championships, right? You got to take risks to win them. If you're safe, you're going to finish, eliminated in the first round and you had a good time. Or you can try to win the championship on draft day.
Zach is the best player he's who gives us the best chance to win. And, so that's basically that would be the cleanest answer I could give you.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
Want to remind everybody, start a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription today and get DFS content and NFL picks for all of week 4 for free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win. That's fantasyalarm.com/win. That was Jets head coach, obviously, Robert Saleh, talking about his quarterback, Zach Wilson. And, I know people are criticizing Saleh for the way that he met with the media yesterday. I sent out a tweet and as well. And listen, he's got no other choice. Like, there's nobody else that's coming in to save the day. Like, and I think Saleh at this stage, I think it's probably toeing the company line. They have the 2nd overall pick invested in Zach Wilson. Do you want him to be critical? Yeah, I'd probably like him to see it be a little bit more critical, but I think the player is extremely sensitive. I think the player has a crisis of confidence. But Saleh's in danger of doing significant damage to that locker room because each and every one of those players, and Keith, you've been a part of sports, your kids play sports. I'm part of sports, kids play sports, and the players know, who can play and who can't. They just do, right? And, and the guys in that room know Zach Wilson, can't play. That's why the Jets ran from him in the offseason. And if it wasn't, Aaron Rodgers, it would have been Derek Carr, or it would have been maybe Matthew Stafford convincing him to move to the East Coast, or it would have been some other veteran quarterback that they were going to bring in. They realized he wasn't good enough. The Jets went out there and told you that the best thing for Wilson would be to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and learn. To now all of a sudden think that after 4 to 5 months in the offseason, during the course of the summer, that Zach Wilson is all of a sudden ready to play in the National Football League. I got to be honest with you, I don't know if he'll ever be ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I just don't think he's good, and I don't think he can have all of the arm talent in the world. The game hasn't slowed down. He has no idea what to do with the football. He holds on to the football for way too long, and the Jets now are in a crisis mode because they have a quarterback that can't play, and they're trying to win with.
Here's the deal. Zach Wilson is an excellent quarterback, but not in the NFL. Okay. Because I've had this conversation with former players that they really don't like when people like you or I, who did not play professional sports, go, that guy stinks or whatever. Right. So let me just clarify it. He doesn't stink as a football player. He doesn't stink as a thrower of the football. He stinks as an NFL quarterback. Okay. Zach Wilson is not a good NFL quarterback. And I think Moose is right. I'm not sure he ever will be. Now, let's go further. Robert Saleh. I don't know what he should say here because maybe he needs to be a little bit critical. But what do we want him to do? Like, what does the fan base want him to do?
I think the whole idea of being light years ahead of where he was a year ago, footwork's better, pocket presence is better, all of these things, it's nonsense because, Keith, you don't have to have played the game. If you watch this league long enough, and you and I have been watching it, for the better part of like 2 decades, guys that have got great footwork, great pocket presence, guys that can play, and guys that can't. That's it.
It's clear he can't. It's clear
he can't. That's it. But, so I guess it's a matter of what does he have to? Here's the deal: is what does Robert Saleh have to lose if he's critical?
Well, if
the player's terrible, the player's terrible. I'm not telling you to rip him a new one, but to be he's got to be better. I
could have seen that.
He's got to be better. We need more from Zach Wilson. We need more. He's got to be better.
Since I'm the one that looks like Robert Saleh, let's do two ways to do this. All right, let's do the critical way and let's do the way that he did it. I'll do the critical way first. Tell me if this would have been if Jets fan base media, maybe everybody would have liked this. If I would have gotten up there and be like, hey guys, today was a rough one. I thought we had a chance. I thought we had some good moments there. I thought Zach had some good moments. I thought Garrett had some good moments. I thought the defense, we had some good moments, and we had some bad moments too. And listen, all of it, it'll start with me. I have to be better at my job. I have to have these athletes more prepared to play. But yeah, our quarterback needs to be better. Our wide receivers need to be better. Our running game needs to be better. Everyone in this room needs to be better. And yes, if you're going to ask me about Zach Wilson and whether or not he gives us the best chance to win, he is our guy right now, and he is who we are rocking with. All right, that's the critical way. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Right? Now, the way that he did it was really fluffy, right? Like he's like actually, Bernsey, is there any chance? Can we play that clip one more time? Do you still have that? Can we just send it in the chat? Let me know. You don't. Okay. All right. So the thing about the clip is, if you watch it again, when he said he's the one that gives us the best chance, did you see his lip go up?
Yeah.
Because I watched it a few times. It almost looked like he didn't believe what he was saying.
was searching for the right word, right? Yeah. And I don't think he necessarily does. I mean, I don't think he does. Whatever. Like, yeah.
Kirk Cousins? You really going to go try to trade for Kirk Cousins? Is that the only answer right now?
No, but I don't know. And like, you're going to have to give up a king's ransom to go get Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I mean, this is.
Stop getting the game. Stop it. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, the Jets made their bed in Aaron Rodgers. The criticism of Douglas is they got rid of Mike White or they didn't re-sign Mike White because they wanted to make sure he was out of the building because of Zach Wilson, right? So because we saw the team rally around Mike White a year ago.
I would have rather Mike White be.
No doubt. I mean, Mike White would have been, if he stepped in, the offense, I'm not telling you that they would have won a Super Bowl, but I mean, you stick Mike White in there, they could easily win some games. Like Wilson's non-competitive. That's the problem you have here for the Jets is he's not. And you've got no other choice right now but to continue to roll through him. But if you're Joe Douglas, the biggest criticism would be is you needed to have another veteran quarterback in there. And I understand people are ripping Nathaniel Hackett for the game plan. Here's the deal. What do you want the Jets? The coaching staff knows. They know. As we all do.
You can't play an offense with him.
You can't. They don't trust him, nor should they. He hasn't shown any signs where they can trust him. So you're trying to orchestrate and run an offense with one hand behind your back. That's what the Jets are trying to do.
Should they bring Carson Wentz in? Wentz wants to come. Should they bring him in? Is it worth it?
I think they have to do something or else they're going to lose that entire team. And you're starting to see it already. You're starting to see it on defense. You're starting to see it with Michael Carter on the sideline. You're starting to see it with Garrett Wilson. All the guys publicly are saying the right thing, but you're starting to see, and it could get progressively worse as this season does go along. Now, Robert Saleh also said Aaron Rodgers, they expect him to be back with the team at some point this week, right? After he had the Achilles surgery. Maybe that ends up being the great elixir for bringing and calming some of the nerves down. But now you know why it was so emotional that Monday night where Aaron Rodgers told Garrett Wilson, listen, I'm sorry, because they all know that the quarterback now that is the starter, that he can't really play.
Yeah, I mean, they have a Super Bowl caliber defense.
Yes.
They have a playoff caliber offense.
Yeah.
But they have me.
They lost to a Patriot team yesterday. That's not particularly good. Let's be honest.
No, I think New England. I took the under on the Patriots win total.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're going to win like 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a particularly good Patriot team. They had 1 touchdown. They had 2 field goals. They missed a couple of field goals and they allowed a safety.
I mean, the 1 touchdown was just a blown play by the Jets defense. You don't see that often.
I mean, that was a blown coverage where Sauce Gardner got confused and he's got to have coverage over the top. I mean, and that's it. But now the Jets are left in a scenario here where I think they have to go bring somebody in, Keith. Do you? Do you think they will?
Yeah, I do. I think this was the week that lets them know we can't go with only Wilson and Boyle or whomever. Tim Boyle is not the answer as a backup quarterback. You need to bring in a quarterback that might push Wilson a little bit.
Let's see if they do it. James Adams joins the program next, host of Fanatics Insider Football on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. He joins us next. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Monday right here, Better Sports Network.
Oh boy, we got a big one. We got a big card here. We got
let's go.
We got a super rookie.
Ooh.
Do you guys want to guess who the big card super rookie is? Because
I'm going to guess somebody from the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't recall who were rookies in those particular years. So I'm going to guess Michael Irvin.
Adam?
Jared kind of convinced me to go Troy Aikman there.
I'm going to read the description. In this player's NFL debut, September 10th, 1989, He produced an electrifying 68-yard punt return for a
Deion
touchdown.
Sanders.
He became the first athlete in the 20th century to hit a home run September 5th, 1989 for the Yankees at Seattle and score a touchdown in the same week.
That needs a sleeve. That one needs a sleeve.
Top
100%.
super rookie, neon, prime time, Deion Sanders.
I wasn't that far off. He played for the Cowboys.
I was going to say Deion, and then when you said the early 90s Cowboys, I'm like, oh, Aikman would be a good guess. So I go with your gut is the lesson there.
And there it is, the white and red Falcon jerseys that you said Deion came in with before they changed to black.
That was because the starting lineup for Deion his rookie year has got the red helmet with the white jersey.
Now look at that do. I mean, are you kidding me with that hair?
I mean, you got to have a headband with those curls. You got to.
That is sick. And this is a favorite card. Do we have any value on this card? We have to, right?
Let me see.
Give me a value here.
Let's see here on eBay. PSA 10 gem mint Deion Sanders, $149.99. And then a 9.5 is $6. So that guy might be a little bit then there's a much more reasonably listed one at $31 for a PSA 10. So it's got some value to it. Yeah, you might want to protect that one.
It's in excellent condition. I guess we have to worry about, is it centered?
Yes, that would be the next thing.
All right, well, we'll go through the process there. Maybe I'll just frame that one as a great moment in this show's history.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
We are back. Yes, he is Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry, bringing in James Adams now on socials. It's James Adams 94, host of Fantistics, the Insider Football on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. What's up, man?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
All good. Let me ask you a question. I'm gonna start with the hard hitting stuff. Right. Who is in a worse situation? Chicago having to make a decision about what Justin Fields will be going forward, or the New York Jets having to deal with Zach Wilson this year?
Chicago, because they can never get a quarterback right. At least there's like hope that Aaron Rodgers comes back next year for the Jets. There's a really good, talented team. They won a game. Like it's hopeless for this year, but I would think, I mean, they're one piece away. The Bears are pieces away. So the Bears are more hopeless.
You think Fields is, let me ask you, do you think Fields is a quarterback that's got a bear problem, or do you think the Bears have got a quarterback problem?
Ooh, I like that. I like the way you worded that.
Two sides of the same coin, isn't it? I think the Bears, they have a systemic quarterback problem, apparently. I don't know. I mean, I certainly had Fields as a fantasy guy. I certainly had Fields in the top 8 at my quarterback ranking. He was in that group, probably 7 or so. So I believed in him. But at this point, I mean, what do the Bears have around him? Like, Fields isn't being given much of an opportunity. He didn't look great yesterday, but he's not getting much opportunity either.
No, offensive line has not looked good. Khalil Herbert is not a lead running back. Roshan does not appear to be a lead running back. DJ Moore is more inclined to be a number 2 than a number 1. Go on and on and on. You're right. Like, so for all the Fields haters out there, like maybe he's not getting much of a chance. Not a bad point by you.
Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, those are guys that are NFL starters, but I mean, no one's going, hey, they're going to go to the Hall of Fame someday. Not a chance.
Right.
All right, let's say you're wearing the Bengals jersey. Love that one.
Had to put it on. It's a whiteout tonight. I'm headed to the game.
Well, there you go. Beautiful. Love it. We'll enjoy it. Reports yesterday that Burrow is going to go through some warm-ups and figure out whether or not he can play with the re-injuring of his calf. Do you think Joe Burrow gives it a go tonight for the Bengals against the Rams?
I don't know if he ends up giving it a go by trying to play the game. He is in the process of giving it a go, though, it sounds like. So, I was more in the camp of sit him these 4 weeks before the bye. I don't know if the schedule is easy these next 4 weeks or not. That depends on what you make of some of the opponents, but it's easier than the last 2. But as of yesterday, he was warming up, practicing like he was going to play today. And so from all accounts, if you were going to rest him, if there was any chance he wasn't playing tonight, or that the game plan was always that he wouldn't play tonight, they wouldn't have had him going through vigorous warm-ups yesterday.
That's true. But James, I don't mean to interrupt you, but here's the problem. This version of Joe Burrow isn't great.
They couldn't go deep. So last year, I was at the game last week. There was like one deep ball to Irv Smith, and it wasn't a pretty pass. He probably should have stayed in bounds with it, but everybody's worried about Jamar Chase and the routes he's running. You know why they're not running deep routes to Jamar Chase? Because Burrow can't plant off the back foot and deliver that deep ball. That's the problem.
It's a big problem. So, all right. So as a Bengal fan, do you want him to play tonight?
I want to have that Back to the Future book so I know what the future is. But no, in my mindset, like if I show up tonight and they put him on the IR, sit him for the 4 weeks and then the bye week, I'm on board with that because the plan with Joe Burrow is not to win the Super Bowl this year. It's to win Super Bowls, plural. And the Bengals have had some good quarterbacks that got their one chance. We've seen other guys get hurt and careers just go down in flames. And I don't want to see that for Joe Burrow. I want to be cheering for him in 10 years, not in 10 weeks. Both, but
I think and I think Jamar Chase nailed it before the season, right? Like Jamar talked about it. Like, just let Joe sit. Because really, this is a Bengals team that's built to win a Super Bowl, right? So you just got to make the playoffs and then make your run.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are built. And that's the thing is, maybe there is more pressure on this season because T. Higgins' contract is coming up. And so, you know, if you're one of those teams that could win a couple throughout the course of his career, this is maybe one of those years before the offense needs a little bit of a revamp. Is Mixon and T. Higgins still a part of this kind of offense? So there's pressure on this, but yes, this is a team that can make a run with this roster. But at 0-2, now you've put yourself behind the 8 ball because you didn't rest them those first 2 weeks where you've already taken these L's.
James, I got a strange question for you because you're
like
a Cincinnati guy. So let me just throw this one because I've only been to the city once. It was when we were passing through, heading to the Kentucky Derby in 1992 with my dad and my uncle. But Skyline Chili, yay or nay?
Yay.
Is it really? Because I've seen the food shows out there and they're putting it over the spaghetti with everything and the onions and the cheese. Is it really that good?
So here's what you have to understand about Skyline Chili. It is a dressing. It is a condiment. It is a topping that you put on a hot dog with mustard and onion. It's a topping that goes on your chili with cheese and onion. It's not like you don't eat a bowl of Skyline like itself, like you would a Texas chili. So it is a condiment, but it's a great flavor. It's got like some chocolate and cinnamon type of hints to it. I think it comes from like a Greek origin is where it comes from. I'm a big fan. Okay. I can say that I know people that aren't. I was camping in Canada one year on a fishing trip and we let the locals try it and they looked disgusted. So it's not for everybody.
I've had it before. I loved it. We did it. We did a bit on TV a couple years ago with the Skyline Chili. I think it was like Cincinnati versus whomever, and we tasted them both. I thought the Skyline Chili was good. Now you're right. It's totally different. It's not. You're not going to sit there with a bowl of just eating it. But on top of some good pasta, which is the way we had it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So Moose, I think
I gotta try it. I've never tried it. I've seen people. And honestly, James, some people love it, and then some people are like, give or take, it's okay.
I was raised on.
You have to know what you were raised on, but you also have to know what you're going into, right? Like if someone tells you here's this bowl of chili and it's Skyline Chili, and you just go like that, you're gonna go, well, that's a little odd. But if you go, here's your Skyline Chili, we're putting it on pasta, it's got a little sweet tang to it, and then there's some onions mixed in there, you're like, oh, okay.
All right.
Ooh, that's good.
Okay. Fair enough. James, tonight, what do you think, from a fantasy perspective tonight? What do you love in terms of, and we got the doubleheader Monday Night Football. You're going to be at the Bengals-Rams game in Cincinnati. What are you looking at from a fantasy perspective tonight?
So, I mean, me personally, I'm really looking forward to watching Paku Nakua because I want to see what he looks like in person now. 25 targets through 2 games is insanity. I thought maybe it was overblown in their game 1, but then it happened again last week. Atwell seems to be their number 2, so I'm like completely flummoxed because I thought Tyler Higbee was going to be a great tight end in fantasy this year as a sleeper. The whole Rams offense. So, I mean, obviously I'm here to watch the Bengals, and I'll be there to watch the Bengals, but the whole Rams offense, because they're a waiver wire wonder group from the last 2 weeks in fantasy. Looking forward to seeing them. From the Bengals, I mean, is it Burrow? What can he deliver? Yesterday, 2 days ago, I was telling people I wouldn't be depending on Joe Burrow. Now, you'd still play Higgins, you'd still play Chase, but I wouldn't be depending on Burrow in this game, and I'd want to have a fallback option, A, in case he didn't go, B, because he hasn't looked very good in the first 2 weeks. We gave everybody a week 1 pass from the Bengals-Browns game because of bad weather in that one, but there's not much of a reason for a pass last week other than Burrow's giving him the pass on the performances that he's just not there. So, I mean, frankly, if you're relying on Burrow, I'd still love to have Baker Mayfield as a backup option because, look, the Eagles, I know they were a great defense last year, and I still think they are, but they gave up a lot of yards to Mac Jones in week 1, a lot of yards in week 2 to Kirk Cousins. Maybe they were both in garbage time fashion, and that's what Baker probably gets tonight, but I'm actually really interested in him as kind of a sleeper fallback to Burrow. So just an FYI there. And I mean, certainly, you know, from that game, I mean, I'm looking at A.J. Brown probably going crazy after the squeaky wheel.
Yeah. I agree. All right, so let's get into some waiver wire situations. I'm going to take you to 2 places. One, we go to the Chargers. Mike Williams looks like he may be done for the year. We don't have official word on that. So if you are a Mike Williams shareholder, what Charger are you going after?
I would think Quentin Johnston. We haven't seen it through 2 weeks, but they drafted him to be this guy. I drafted him a lot in my dynasty leagues because I knew this was going to be a high-powered offense, and he showed the ability to be a crazy good playmaker. Herbert's, you know, a lot of people's MVP, at least preseason, like darker horse MVP kind of guy. So I would think Quentin Johnston, but he hasn't shown it through 2 weeks. So this is his opportunity. And I hope I'm not saying that because I'm already invested in him in dynasty leagues, but that is the way I would look because that is the talent, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you got Parham doing his thing too. I don't know if that helps you at all. I mean, are you too reliant on touchdowns there?
He doesn't help me at all because all he does is score touchdowns. And Gerald Everett's the guy you picked in PPR leagues to have in your lineups. That's driving me insane. But if you're playing fantasy and tight end's not driving you insane, then good job on drafting TJ Hawkinson. I mean, basically.
Is there anybody else here? You know, I'm struggling in fantasy teams. Anybody else that you're going to be looking to attack on the waiver wire this week?
You know, I haven't really dug into the waiver wire. That's something that I'll be getting into. Usually I look at games from the night before on Monday night while I watch the game. I'll get in that tomorrow. I can't think of one off the top of my head, quite frankly, but I haven't dug into it, to be fair.
What about A-Chain? So what are you doing about him? Because they're like, I looked, my 12-year-old son and I were paying attention last night, and he's like, Dad, do you think that he's, you know, how owned is he in leagues? And I'm like, I bet you not very much. And we scanned through, and it is really low ownership for him.
So A, yes. B, maybe that's another question or another prerequisite I should show you. I'm in like 20 leagues. Jerome Ford wasn't available in one single league last week. So I play in a lot of deeper leagues, deep dynasty leagues. The high stakes leagues, the KFFFC, the FPC, it's 20-man rosters. So the waiver wire for me maybe is different than some other folks, but A-Chain, absolutely. And one thing I did look through games going through the games and the stats yesterday, the craziest thing you're going to see about that Dolphins offense and what they did yesterday is there were all the Tyreek Hill had 9 catches, I think, or whatever he had. The next receiver on that team with Jalen Waddle out had 2 passes. Caught 2 passes. Yeah. They put all those points up the ball, throwing to Mostert, throwing to A-Chain. Like, McDaniel is a freaking genius. He's insane, but he's a genius. And so, yeah, if A-Chain's available, heck yeah. The other lesson to that is if there's other running backs, rookies that you've rostered that you're waiting for them to pop, just be patient with them. We haven't hit the bye weeks. Don't sell yet because they're just getting their feet wet.
All right, last one. You're going to the game tonight. What do you do pregame? Like, how early are you getting there? Are you in the parking lot? Is there a barbecue
Look
going?
At the smile that just went over his face. I'm excited now.
What do you do for pregame Bengals?
So I told Bernsey, I said, heck yeah, I need to do this. I need something to keep me from starting boozing too early on a Monday. I used to be a big tailgate guy. I'm just not into the hassle that goes with it. So we used to go to Longworth Hall. We'd set up the grill or the fryer or whatever. And today would be a good day to set up the fryer because you could be there all day. Just gradually graze on chicken wings and egg rolls. But now there's a spot, the Cincinnati Stadium sits right on the river. There's a spot called the Banks where there's a lot of different bars and whatnot. And the beers aren't crazy priced there, maybe like $6. So from a downtown purchase, it's not bad. So now I just go there and hang out and You walk into the game. There's no mess to clean up. You get dropped off. You get picked up.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, to me, the sitting out there, getting the barbecue, getting everything, like that. It's such a pain in
That's
the
a
rear
young man's
end.
game.
I want to go to someone else's. I want someone else to do the setup and then invite me, and I'll be I'll bring dessert.
Then you got to clean up the grill, the cooler, all that nonsense. You got to clean up the next day too, or this would be the next day. But yeah, I used to love that stuff, but now I go to the bars.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's
enjoy the game tonight.
Hey, one more question before I let you go. When you go to your Bengals games, like when you're in attendance, do you bet on these games, or is it more of I want to just enjoy the game and not have any kind of money in it?
I like to put a lot of like preseason props in. I don't really bet the NFL lines too much.
Okay.
I'm really invested in fantasy, and quite frankly, I'm more of a like higher risk gambler. I like to gamble on golf. So I'm like a horse race golf gambler where I know I've already thrown the money away. The odds of me winning are long. That's why I'm doing it. But when it hit, it's fun.
There you go.
James, enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the drinks and the beers. Have fun. Take it all in. Go Bengals. Hopefully Burrow plays really well. And thanks for the time this morning.
Hooday. Thanks, guys.
You got it. I love that.
Fun,
yes, James Adams. And a couple guys, Boomer Esiason and Chad Ochocinco, both going into the Ring of Honor tonight, right?
There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Boomer, I love Boomer, but every weekend I see him, he would always pat me on the back and make it like I was Robert Saleh and ask me what the game plan was or how I felt about the upcoming game. It was great. He was always
we're gamifying Monday Night Football on the BetterCast Network, the BetterCast app, I should say. Predict what will happen during tonight's games and test your NFL knowledge. Chat with our community about all the big plays, top performers, and busts in real time. No purchase or subscription necessary. Always free to play. Watch the NFL with us. Play our free contest and win tickets. The more questions you answer, the more tickets you win. Redeem tickets for authentic NFL signed gear and collectibles. Download the free BetterCast app in the Apple app and Google Play stores. Must be at least 18 years of age. We'll come back. We got a game to play, right? We've got some selections, real-time sports.
Two games to play
exactly
in one.
Right. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that next. It's Moose and Keith with you on this Monday, Better Sports Network.
What can we expect from you out there on the track tonight?
Listen, I have a wife, 2 kids. I have, full-time jobs. I'm never nervous. I don't even know what that word means. Can you explain what nervous means? No. I'm ready to have fun. I've never done anything like this before. I got asked to be a part of this. This is fascinating. Like, it's so cool to just look around and see what goes on here. So I'm just excited to get out on the horse. And you want trash talk? Is that what you're asking me for? No trash talk. I hope everyone does well.
All right. Everyone's going to do well, but it has to be a winner. So give me your trifecta. Who's going to come in first, second, and third? Your heat.
I will go Maria 1, me 2, Willie 3, Moose goes 4th.
Well, it's very simple. I won this event last year. I won my heat, and so the defending champ has to be the favorite. Now, that makes me a little nervous just because I feel like it's hard to repeat. There's a little pressure when you're the favorite, but that being said, I'm still optimistic.
So your heat, it's you,
yes.
Moose and Keith from Better Sports Network, and Willie Colon.
I think Keith might be my stiffest competition, and I asked for this because I actually recruited Keith, if you didn't know. So Keith, if you win, you're welcome.
Malusis is very good. I mean, he knows what he's doing, but I'm going to go with Maria.
Keith is waving to the crowd. He must pay attention because they're off. It's Mark Malusis going for the lead. Maria Marino on the outside, and now Keith Irizarry on the outside with speed, and they're 3 wide into the first turn. Woo! Mark Malusis is locked in for his life. 138 and 2. They're into the stretch. Sportscasters Derby 2. And still in front, Keith Irizarry. And now Mark Malusis is trying to squeeze on through.
Come on! Hey! Come on! Let's go! Come on, dig it!
Yeah! Keith Irizarry. Keith, you did it all the way, wire to wire. Over Mark Malusis.
Awesome! That was so cool!
The champ is here! Keith, what was it like being out there? Adrenaline rush, you were doing the Instagram Live, so there was no panic. You looked cool, calm, collected the whole time, and you won it.
I felt really comfortable. I did. Like, I know you were joking with me before. Are you nervous? Are you whatever? What are you? David, the driver, was awesome. He's like, we're going to win this. I said, all right, let's win this. And he said, let's go. Yeah, I just felt really comfortable. I did. It was fun. We're in the lead. I got Maria Marino on the right side of me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to beat us, right? And then out of nowhere, you see Moose coming up this way, and we feel him breathing down our neck. And I'm like,
Moose on the loose. Watch out.
Moose was definitely on the loose, and we just got Moose by a neck, a nose, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but again, all of this for a great cause, and it was absolutely awesome to do this. It was cool.
All right, Keith, congratulations. And no matter what, you could always hold this over Moose's head.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
All right, Moose and Keith with you on this Monday, Better Sports Network. Yes, Keith.
So just some subtle news. Again, sometimes these are things that, smoke is being blown, and sometimes you follow the lines and you're able to decipher, okay? So we came into the day, the Bengals actually had opened at 7.5-point favorites. It moved a little bit. As of right now, the Bengals are 2 or 2.5-point favorites, depending on what book you're looking at. What we know is that Joe Burrow, and we just had James Adams on, but we knew this prior to that too, that Joe Burrow was going through a run-through, walk-through, whatever you want to call it, this morning to try to figure out if he'd be able to play. If you follow the line, that would lead you to believe that Burrow would not be playing tonight. That's if you're following the Vegas lines. So has there been times where this doesn't work? Yes, but typically Vegas finds this stuff out, and that's how lines change.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. If you follow the line, you don't think Burrow's going to play. I'll be honest with you. I think the Bengals.
I don't think he should play.
I think the Bengals got to be smart with it.
All right, so we've seen so many of these professional athletes, and we'll get to the real-time sports in just a second, but we've seen so many of these professional athletes deal with these little tweak things going on in their calves, and I'm not trying, knock on wood, whatever, I'm not trying to say it leads, but
yeah,
it leads to other injuries.
No doubt.
Let's not have that happen.
Play the real-time. We got a couple things to get into. Want to hit upon Kelce and Taylor Swift as well. Play the real-time sports pick'em contest, set a lineup of player props. Hit them all and win. Combine multiple sports or play your favorite NFL, MLB, PGA, and more. 2 correct wins, 3 times your entry, 3 correct, 6 times your entry, up to 6 correct picks. Wins 40 times your entry. Go to rtsports.com/alarm. First-time depositors get 100% instant match up to $200. Play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Eagles-Bucks, the early game down in Tampa, 7:15 kickoff. What are your plays in Eagles and Bucks, Keith?
I got 2 in this one, so I'll go first with you. I'm going to rock with Rachaad White to get more than 3.5 catches tonight, and here's the reason why. I think this Eagles defense is going to be extremely focused on stopping Evans and limiting Chris Godwin. White had 5 catches last week. We know that he is adept when it comes to that, so sure, let me go with over 3.5 catches for Rachaad White, and then I'll give you an Eagle play as well. A.J. Brown, it's a weird one here. So it's essentially the same thing. I'm going to take the over 68.5 receiving and rushing yards. So RT Sports just allowing me to add in that rushing yards to it as a just in case he gets a carry. Hasn't had one yet this year, but if he does, cool. In 2 games this year, he's had 7 catches and 79 yards and then 4 catches and 29 yards. I think tonight he goes for over 100.
All right, I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to go in, not that I'm buying into Baker Mayfield, but I'll tell you, I'll take Mike Evans. I think the number's low, 54.5 receiving yards. I'll go more than 54.5 receiving yards for the number 1 target down there in Tampa, Mike Evans. And then I'm going to go to Jalen Hurts. Good linebackers for Tampa Bay, good speed. I'm going to go to the passing yard total. Maybe it gets on track tonight, this passing game. You liked A.J. Brown over. I'm going to go over Jalen Hurts, 237.5 passing yards for the Philadelphia quarterback. All right, how about the second game of the double dip tonight? And that is Cincinnati entertaining the Los Angeles Rams. Keith, you take it away.
Yeah, I think tonight might be a rough night for Cincinnati, and I think it might still be close. I just have a feeling there's going to be some issues, and I think one of those is going to be stopping Matthew Stafford. who's gone over 300 yards in back-to-back games. We heard James Adams join us earlier in the hour talking about Nacua and Tutu Atwell and these wide receivers that are doing their thing for the LA Rams. I'm going to go Stafford more than 253.5 passing yards. But then I will give you, Houday Nation, a little bit of hope here. Joe Mixon's going to have his best rushing night of the season so far. He's going to go over the 60.5 rushing yards, so get 61 yards or more on the ground. First 2 games, he's at 13 carries in each of those games. That's important. He's still getting decent volume, okay? And he's at 56 and 59. My assumption is no Burrow tonight. If there's no Burrow, that would mean more Mixon. Give me Joe Mixon.
All right, I'm going to give you 2. Kyren Williams, now the lead back for the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to go over 14.9 fantasy points. He's going to be the guy, catches the ball, runs the ball. Cincinnati's defense has not been all that impressive to start the year. Maybe they're a little tighter tonight, especially if Burrow doesn't play. But I'll go Kyren Williams over 14.9 fantasy points. And then I'll go T. Higgins. Less reliant on the deep ball, over 64.5 receiving yards, even if Burrow does not play. Give me T. Higgins over 64.5 receiving yards for the Cincinnati Bengals. Remember, make sure to check out the contest. It's fantastic. You can do each and every week. Keith and I give you plays each and every week. Go to rtsports.com/alarm. First-time depositors get 100% instant match up to $200. Please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We haven't hit upon it yet. Got a couple minutes left to play with, and that is the big news out in Kansas City.
It's the biggest news in the world.
Not about it. And that is that Taylor Swift was in attendance sitting next to Travis Kelce's mom, watching Chiefs and Bears as Kansas City wins that game by daylight. Kelce catches a touchdown pass in the second half as well, and he does his customary celebration in the end zone. She goes crazy. They walk out. I don't know what outfit he was wearing as he's walking out of the locker room.
There was a Taylor Swift song that was centered around that pattern. I saw it on social media.
So is he like a groupie? I mean, is that what it's?
All right,
I mean,
so
like,
you know our buddy Lucy Burns,
Yes.
right? And Lucy does a great job following a lot of this stuff. And she was a really fun follow on social media yesterday because she was going through highs and lows of all of this Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce stuff, right? Actually, I think we should try to get Burnsy. Let's try to get Lucy on maybe on Friday this week. I would love to pick her brain on this one, and we'll get some betting picks too. But so she was at first, she's like, oh my God, it's love, right? Like you could tell that these two love each other. Then it was, is this all a ruse? Then it was, no, I believe it. And then when he wore that outfit, she went back to, I wonder if we're all getting played and this is just a publicity stunt. I don't know. I want to believe they're in love.
Listen,
or in life.
I mean, I think there's something there. I mean, I don't know what it turns out to be. I don't know if they're,
I want marriage and babies.
Wholeheartedly in love. I think it's really cool. I mean, good on Travis Kelce. Taylor Swift is like a global icon. Anyone that's throwing shade at Travis Kelce, I mean, shame on you. I mean,
he shot his shot, and it looks like he
exactly
nailed it.
right. That's what life's all about. Taking a shot. What's the problem? What's the point? I mean, it doesn't work out, so he becomes a topic of a song, or he gets some hate mail from Swifties across the country. Who the hell cares? Honestly. She was there screaming and cursing when he caught a touchdown, sitting next to his mom. They walked out of the thing, hopped into his Mustang afterward, and they drove off. Like, that's amazing.
And if there's no romantic feelings whatsoever, she would not have been in that suite with his mother. No. It wouldn't have been like that. She wouldn't have been next to him.
How about Mahomes after the game getting interviewed by Aaron Andrews?
Like it was a little pressure.
Well, talking about that, Mahomes after the game and basically got asked if you felt pressure and knowing that Swift was in the building, he said yes. I wanted to make sure I got him a touchdown. And said, and Kelce doesn't really run routes; he runs his own routes. It was great.
And very, very nonchalantly dropping that, like, oh yeah, I asked him if she was coming, and he was like, yeah, she's coming, and then just walked away.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Like
15 seconds. By the way, Usher also. He's going to crush the halftime show. I'm excited about Usher.
There you go. Guys, thanks for being with us for the last hour. We'll be back with you Friday at 11 a.m. sharp. Have yourself a great Monday. Enjoy the Monday Night Football tonight. Moose and Keith, we're out.
I knew you were trouble when you